My wife told me, "He understands me better than you ever will." I replied, "Then he'll understand when you move in with him tonight." She thought I was bluffing. The locksmith disagreed. "All right, Reddit. This happened 6 months ago, and I'm finally ready to tell this story. My wife of 4 years told me her coworker understood her better than I ever would. 3 hours later, she was standing outside our house with all her stuff in garbage bags because her soulmate apparently didn't have a spare bedroom. Here's how it went down. I'm 34, work as an accountant for a regional manufacturing company here in Michigan. Not the most exciting job, but it pays well and I actually enjoy the routine of it. Numbers make sense. They don't lie, they don't cheat, and they always balance out if you do the work right. Been at the same company for 8 years, got promoted to senior accountant 3 years ago, and basically had my life together. The company manufactures industrial equipment, the kind of boring but essential stuff that keeps factories running. I handle their financial reporting, tax compliance, and budgeting. My boss is this old guy named Frank who's been there since the 80s and treats the place like his second home. He taught me everything about manufacturing accounting and always said I had a good head for the details other people missed. I bought our house 5 years ago, right before the market went crazy. 3-bedroom ranch in a decent neighborhood, nothing fancy, but it's mine. Well, was mine and my wife's. I'd spent 2 years fixing it up myself, learning plumbing and electrical work from YouTube, because paying contractors felt like burning money. Replaced all the outlets, fixed the garbage disposal 3 times, even installed a new bathroom vanity after the old one rotted through. My daily routine was pretty simple. Wake up at 6, hit the gym for an hour, shower, work from 7:30 to 5, come home and either cook dinner or work on house projects. Weekends were for yard work, meal prep, and catching up on financial podcasts while organizing my tools in the garage. I had a whole pegboard system set up with labeled spots for everything. That's just how I operate, everything in its place. I met my wife Allison at a friend's wedding back in 2018. She was a bridesmaid, I was a groomsman, and we got seated next to each other at the reception. She worked in human resources for a hospital network, seemed sweet and normal. We dated for a year, got engaged, married 6 months later. Looking back, I probably rushed it because I was 29 and thought that's what you're supposed to do when you meet someone decent. Our wedding was at this barn venue she picked out. Cost me 15 grand that I'd been saving for a new truck. But she wanted the rustic aesthetic with the string lights and mason jar centerpieces. So that's what we did. Her parents contributed basically nothing, said they'd already paid for her older sister's wedding, and it was our turn to be adults about it. Fine. Whatever. I footed the bill and didn't complain. Marriage was okay at first. We fell into a routine where I'd handle all the bills and home maintenance while she focused on decorating and her career. She'd make these elaborate meal plans that lasted about 3 days before we'd fall back on takeout. I didn't mind cooking, actually found it relaxing after staring at spreadsheets all day. But Allison always had some excuse about being too tired or stressed from work. I'd spend my Sundays meal prepping for the week, portioning out chicken and rice into containers, chopping vegetables for quick dinners. Allison would watch from the couch with her laptop, occasionally commenting that I was so organized in this tone that made it sound like an insult. She'd promised to help next time, but next time never came. Eventually, I just stopped asking and handled it myself like everything else. The house projects fell entirely on me too. When the furnace started making weird noises in our second winter together, I spent 3 weekends watching YouTube videos and reading forums until I figured out the blower motor needed replacing. Saved us $800 doing it myself instead of calling an HVAC guy. Allison barely acknowledged it, just complained that the house was cold while I was working on it. I replaced the rotted deck boards that spring, spent Memorial Day weekend ripping out old wood and installing composite decking that would actually last. Got splinters in places I didn't know you could get splinters. Allison invited her friends over the next weekend to enjoy the deck I'd built. Took credit for picking out the color like she'd done anything besides point at a sample once. Her job at the hospital seemed to stress her out constantly, always complaining about how much drama there was in the HR department, how nobody appreciated all her hard work, how the hospital administration didn't value employee wellness enough. I'd listen and offer solutions, which apparently was the wrong move because she just wanted to vent, not fix anything. She'd come home and immediately launch into these long spiels about workplace politics I didn't understand or care about. Who said what in which meeting, who got assigned to which committee, why the new policy about vacation requests was problematic. I'd try to engage, ask clarifying questions, suggest practical solutions. Wrong move every time. "You're not listening," she'd say. "You're just trying to fix things." "Yeah, that's what you do with problems. You fix them." "Never mind, you don't get it." These conversations happened at least 3 times a week. I'd be doing dishes or folding laundry while she vented, offering what I thought was genuine engagement, and apparently failing some invisible test I didn't know I was taking. By year 3, I noticed she'd stopped asking about my day. I'd come home and launch into some story about Frank nearly having a heart attack over a missing decimal point in our quarterly report, and she'd just kind of stare at her phone and go, without looking up. But I figured that's just how marriages settle into comfortable territory. You stop performing for each other and just coexist. Our conversations became transactional. Did you pay the electric bill? What do you want for dinner? No more questions about how I was feeling or what I was thinking about. Just logistics and surface-level coordination. So I stopped trying. Went back to my spreadsheets and my house projects and my routines that apparently made me so boring. The first real crack appeared about 8 months ago when she started talking about this new director at her hospital. His name was Keith, and he'd transferred from their Seattle location to take over employee relations. According to Allison, Keith was this amazing leader who really understood the importance of workplace culture and emotional intelligence. Keith apparently had a background in organizational psychology, which meant he loved holding workshops about communication styles and team dynamics. Allison started coming home from these workshops glowing like she'd found religion. She'd go on and on about how Keith validated everyone's feelings and created safe spaces for authentic dialogue. I'd nod along while doing the dishes, thinking this sounded like corporate nonsense, but hey, if it made her happy. First week Keith was there, Allison came home with this whole new vocabulary. Keith says we should honor our truth. Keith believes in leading with vulnerability. Keith created this framework for emotional authenticity in the workplace. I'm standing there reheating leftovers thinking, this dude sounds like he read one self-help book and based his entire personality on it. Second week, she started staying late for Keith's optional team-building sessions. These weren't required, mind you. Just extra meetings where people sat around sharing their feelings about workplace dynamics. She'd get home at 8 instead of 6, talking about how healing it was to be really seen and heard by her team. You could try some of Keith's techniques at your work, she suggested one night. What? Hold hands with Frank and talk about our emotional journeys through tax season? Yeah, that'll go over great. She got that disappointed look, like I was too simple to understand Keith's genius. Never mind. Then Keith started appearing in every conversation. Keith thinks the traditional workplace hierarchy is outdated. Keith says emotional labor should be recognized and compensated. Keith believes people should prioritize passion over stability. Every observation about Keith came with this undertone that I was somehow lacking whatever qualities Keith possessed. Dinner conversations became Keith highlight reels. I'd ask about her day and get 20 minutes about how Keith handled some conflict between 2 employees with such grace and wisdom, how Keith encouraged everyone to bring their whole selves to work, how Keith was revolutionizing the way their department operated. Sounds like Keith should run for president, I said one night, trying to make a joke. You're mocking me. I'm not mocking you. I'm just noticing that Keith seems to be the answer to every workplace problem. Because he is. He actually cares about people, not just profits and efficiency. Unlike me, was the unspoken comparison. Unlike boring, practical, spreadsheet-obsessed me, I should have paid more attention to that last one about passion versus stability. That was basically her telegraphing the whole thing. She started dressing differently for work. New clothes that I'd never seen her wear before, spending an extra hour on her hair and makeup. When I asked about it, she said Keith encouraged everyone to present their authentic selves, whatever that meant. She joined this meditation group that Keith led during lunch breaks. Started using words like aligned and vibrational energy in regular conversation. I watched her spend $300 at some boutique on clothes for Keith's workplace wellness retreat, a weekend thing at some conference center where the HR team would do trust falls and vision board exercises. She packed like she was going to a resort, brought home 3 new outfits on my credit card specifically for this event. It's professional development, she explained when I questioned the expense. $300 for professional development at a hospital HR retreat? Keith says we should invest in ourselves. Physical presentation affects how we show up emotionally. Keith says. Keith says. Keith says. Guy was living rent-free in my house through every sentence out of her mouth. The meditation thing got weird too. She'd come home from Keith's lunch sessions talking about chakras and energy fields. Started burning sage in the house because Keith said negative energy accumulates in stagnant spaces. My house wasn't stagnant, it was organized. Big difference. Our bedroom situation went from occasional to basically non-existent. She'd come to bed an hour after me, claiming she needed to decompress from her stressful day. When I tried to initiate anything, She'd say she wasn't in the right headspace, or her energy was off. But she had plenty of energy to text Keith about work drama at 10 at night. 3 months into the Keith era, I couldn't remember the last time we'd been intimate. I tried to bring it up once. Hey, feels like we haven't connected in a while. She looked at me like I'd suggested something disgusting. I can't just turn it on like a switch, Jake. I need emotional connection first. Okay, let's build emotional connection. Tell me what's going on with you. You wouldn't understand. Try me. It's complicated. Keith helped me realize I've been suppressing my authentic needs for years. What needs? I'm your husband. Tell me what you need. I need space to process my journey. Her journey. Away from me, apparently. Towards some enlightened version of herself that Keith was helping her discover. Yeah, I knew it was Keith. I'm not an idiot. She kept her phone tilted away from me and would literally leave the room to answer his calls. Once I walked into the kitchen while she was laughing at some text message, and she jumped like I'd caught her doing something illegal. But when I asked who she was talking to, she'd just say, "Work people," and change the subject. I started checking our phone bill in March. Just out of curiosity, you know. Professional curiosity. Turns out Allison and Keith were texting about 200 times a day and had calls that lasted over an hour. During work hours, after work hours, weekends, I counted 17 calls that happened while I was sitting right next to her on the couch watching TV, where she'd excused herself to check on something. Now here's where I differ from most guys in this situation. I didn't confront her immediately. I didn't blow up or make accusations. I started documenting everything instead, because that's how my brain works. Screenshots of the phone bill, notes about her behavior changes, dates and times of suspicious activities. If this was heading toward divorce, I wanted all my ducks in a row. Created a whole spreadsheet tracking the Keith situation. Column A, date. Column B, incident. Column C, evidence. Column D, notes. February 15th. Allison came home 2 hours late from team meeting. Checked phone 47 times during dinner. February 22nd. New $200 dress purchased for work event. Spent 90 minutes getting ready. March 3rd. 17 text notifications from Keith during movie night. Left room for 3 phone calls. I know this sounds obsessive, but this is what accountants do. We track data, we find patterns, we prepare for audits, and brother, this marriage was about to get audited. I also started preparing financially. Opened a new bank account at a different bank and started diverting my direct deposit there. Not all of it, just enough that she wouldn't notice the difference. Gathered all our financial documents and made copies. Stored them at my office. Talked to my buddy Ryan, who's a family law attorney. Just a hypothetical conversation about how Michigan handles asset division. The financial prep took some strategy. I couldn't just drain our joint account without raising red flags, but I could redirect my next paycheck to my new account. Set it up to look like a direct deposit change for verification purposes, if she asked. She never checked our finances anyway. That was my job. She just used the credit card and assumed I handled everything. I pulled our credit reports, made sure she hadn't opened any cards I didn't know about. Checked our car titles, home deed, all the boring paperwork that becomes really important during a divorce. Made copies of everything, organized them by category, stored them in a locked file cabinet at work. Ryan told me Michigan is a no-fault state, which meant even if I could prove an affair, it wouldn't matter much for the divorce settlement. But he also said that any assets I could prove were mine, before the marriage would stay mine. The house was in my name only because I'd bought it before we met. The car was mine. Most of our furniture I'd owned previously. I was in better shape than I thought. Smart move documenting everything, Ryan said over lunch. Most guys just react emotionally and get destroyed in court. Yeah, well, numbers don't lie. Just wanted to make sure I had the numbers right before making any moves. What's your timeline? Waiting for the right moment, when she makes it undeniable. Don't wait too long. Emotional affairs turn physical eventually. Don't need it to be physical. She's already gone. All of this happened over about 6 weeks. I was playing the long game while she was off in a la-la land with Keith. She thought I was clueless, just her boring husband who didn't notice anything beyond his spreadsheets. Meanwhile, I was building a case file that would make a prosecutor jealous. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Friday in late April. I'd taken the day off to handle some stuff around the house, mainly getting quotes from locksmiths. Just being proactive. Allison texted me around 3 saying she'd be late because Keith was taking the team out for happy hour to celebrate some workplace initiative launching successfully. She rolled in around 9, not stumbling or anything, just clearly in a good mood. She was humming while taking off her shoes, smiling at her phone. I was sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop, working on some reports. Really, I was organizing all my documentation into a neat little folder. Good happy hour? I asked, not looking up. It was really nice. Keith gave this great talk about recognizing our individual contributions to the team dynamic. Sounds riveting. She didn't catch my sarcasm. He's just such an inspiring leader, you know? He really sees people for who they are. Unlike me, I guess. That made her pause. What's that supposed to mean? I closed my laptop and looked at her. Nothing. Just noticing you talk about Keith a lot. Almost like he's the main character in your life and I'm just the guy who pays the mortgage. Her face did this thing where she tried to look offended, but couldn't quite pull it off. That's not fair. Keith is my boss. Of course I talk about work. 200 texts a day seems like more than work. Now she looked genuinely shocked. Are you checking my phone records? Don't need to. It's on our phone bill that I pay every month. I read my statements because that's what responsible adults do. She got defensive immediately. We're just friends. He understands what I'm going through at work. What are you going through at work that requires 17 phone calls in one weekend? You wouldn't understand. You just sit in your office doing the same boring calculations every day. Keith challenges me to think differently about my purpose and potential. I actually laughed at that. Not a mean laugh, just genuinely amused. Your purpose and potential. Got it. See? This is exactly what I mean. She was getting worked up now. You're so dismissive of anything that doesn't fit into your neat little spreadsheets. Keith actually listens when I talk about my feelings and my dreams. What dreams? You've literally never mentioned having dreams beyond redecorating the living room. Because you never ask. You never want to talk about anything real. It's all just budgets and home repairs and your stupid routines. I stood up, staying calm. All right, I'll ask now. What are your dreams, Allison? She crossed her arms. Keith thinks I should explore my creative side. Maybe take some classes. Travel more. Experience life instead of just existing in this suffocating routine. Keith thinks, what do you think? I think he understands me better than you ever will. There it was, the sentence that ended our marriage. She said it with such conviction, like she'd been holding on to it for months, and finally felt brave enough to let it out. I nodded slowly. You're probably right. Keith sounds like a real deep guy. She looked surprised that I agreed. He is. He's been helping me realize that I've been settling for a life that doesn't fulfill me. Settling. Interesting word choice. I don't mean it like that. I just mean that people grow and change, and sometimes relationships don't grow with them. So you've grown beyond our marriage. I think I might have, she said quietly, and for a second she actually looked sad about it. But then her phone buzzed, and I watched her eyes light up as she checked it. Keith, probably. Does Keith know you're married? I asked. Of course he does. We're just friends who connect on a deeper level. Does his wife know about this deep connection? Her face went red. Keith's marriage is complicated. His wife doesn't appreciate his emotional needs. I had to bite back another laugh. Let me guess. She doesn't understand him. Actually, no. She's very practical and career-focused. She doesn't value the same things Keith values. Wow. So you and Keith are both stuck in marriages with people who don't understand you. What are the odds? You're being condescending. I'm being realistic. You're having an emotional affair with your married boss and dressing it up as some kind of spiritual awakening. She bristled at that. It's not an affair. We've never even kissed. Yet, it's not like that. What Keith and I have is on a completely different level than physical attraction. Sure it is. It's so much deeper than my boring existence of paying all your bills and maintaining the house you live in for free. I contribute to this household. You pay your car payment and buy groceries sometimes. I handle the mortgage, utilities, insurance, property taxes, repairs, and basically everything else. But yeah, you contribute. She looked like I'd slapped her. I didn't know you were keeping score. I'm not keeping score. I'm stating facts. But here's another fact for you. If Keith understands you so much better than I do, maybe you should go be with someone who appreciates your full potential. Are you seriously suggesting we separate over this? I'm not suggesting anything. I'm telling you that if you want to explore your deep connection with Keith, you should do it while not married to me. She got quiet then. I could see her brain working through this, probably expecting me to back down or get emotional. But I just stood there waiting. Maybe we should take some time to think about this, she finally said. I've been thinking about it for 6 weeks while watching you fall in love with another man. I'm done thinking. I'm not in love with Keith. Okay. The okay really threw her. She wanted me to fight, to argue, to prove that I cared enough to keep her. But I was so far past that point. This is exactly the problem, she said, voice rising. You don't fight for anything. You just accept everything with this passive attitude like nothing matters. Things that matter, I fight for. Things that are already gone, I let go. So I'm already gone to you? Yeah, Allison. You left this marriage months ago. You just haven't moved out yet. She grabbed her phone and purse. I'm going to Rachel's house. We'll talk about this tomorrow when you're being more reasonable. Actually, if you leave tonight, don't plan on coming back. She froze at the door. What? I'm serious. You walk out that door to run to your friend or Keith or whoever, and we're done. I'll have the locks changed by tomorrow morning. She actually laughed. You can't just kick me out. This is my house too. No, it's my house that you live in. Check the deed. Only my name on it. Her face went pale. You're bluffing. Try me. We stood there staring at each other for a solid 30 seconds. I kept my expression completely neutral, just watching her calculate whether I was serious. She looked at her phone, then back at me, then at the door. Fine. I'm going to Rachel's. But we're going to talk about this like adults tomorrow. Sure thing. She left. I heard her car start and pull out of the driveway. Then I picked up my phone and called the locksmith I'd already consulted with that afternoon. Hey, this is Jake. We talked earlier about rekeying my house? Yeah, I need it done first thing tomorrow morning. 6 a.m.? Perfect. Then I called Ryan. Hey man, remember that hypothetical conversation we had? Not hypothetical anymore. I need divorce papers drawn up. Then I went upstairs and started packing Allison's stuff. Not throwing it around or being destructive, just efficiently sorting her belongings into boxes and garbage bags. Clothes, shoes, toiletries, all the decorative crap she'd bought that I'd always hated. Worked until about 2 in the morning getting everything organized. I kept anything that was legitimately shared property, like the TV and kitchen stuff, but all her personal items, all the clothes and books and knickknacks, went into bags. Stacked them neatly in the garage. By the time I was done, I'd removed almost every trace of her from the house. Locksmith showed up at 6 like promised. Nice guy named Don who didn't ask questions. Just changed out all the locks and made me new keys. Cost me $400 and was worth every penny. By 8 a.m., I'd moved all of Allison's bags to the front porch. Then I sat down with coffee and waited. She showed up around 10, probably expecting to find me sorry and willing to talk things through. I watched from the window as she tried her key and realized it didn't work. The confused look on her face was priceless. She tried it 3 more times before ringing the doorbell. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. Hey, my key doesn't work. I know, I changed the locks. You actually changed the locks? Are you insane? Nope. I told you if you left, you weren't coming back. You left. I went to Rachel's for one night to cool off. Cool. Hope it was enlightening. Your stuff's right here. I gestured to the bags. She stared at the bags like they were written in a foreign language. You packed my things? Yeah. Tried to get everything, but if I missed something, let me know and I'll mail it. Jake, this is crazy. You can't just kick me out over one argument. This isn't about one argument. This is about you checking out of our marriage months ago to pursue some fantasy with your boss. I told you Keith and I are just friends. Great. Then you'll have a friend to help you move these bags. Her face crumpled and she started crying. Real tears, the whole thing. I can't believe you're doing this. Where am I supposed to go? Not my problem anymore. You're an adult with a job. Figure it out. Jake, please. Can't we just talk about this? We did talk about it. Last night. You told me Keith understands you better than I ever will. So go be understood by Keith. He's married. Yeah, to someone who doesn't appreciate his emotional needs. Sounds like you two have a lot in common. She wiped her eyes, switching from sad to angry. You know what? Fine. You want to throw away 4 years of marriage over nothing? Fine. But you're going to regret this. I doubt it. I'll get a lawyer. I'll take you for everything. Good luck with that. Michigan's a no-fault state, and this house is in my name. But hey, you'll probably get half the savings account. Should cover first and last month's rent somewhere. I could see her doing the math in her head, realizing she didn't have the leverage she thought she had. Her face went from angry to something like panic. I need time to find a place, she tried again, softer now. You've got until 5 p.m. to get your stuff off my porch, or it goes to the curb. I've got lawn bags ready. You're such a jerk. Maybe. But I'm a jerk who's not getting played anymore. She pulled out her phone and started frantically calling people. First Rachel, who I assume agreed to help but didn't sound thrilled about it based on Allison's side of the conversation. Then Keith. That's when things got really interesting. I stood there watching her call Keith 6 times in a row. Each call went to voicemail. She'd hang up, wait 30 seconds, call again. Kept leaving increasingly desperate messages. Keith, it's me. I really need to talk. It's an emergency. Please call me back. After the 6th call, I couldn't help myself. Keith's not picking up? Shut up. Probably busy with his wife. You know, the one who doesn't understand him. I said shut up! Just an observation. Seems like your soulmate's not that available when you actually need him. She looked like she wanted to throw her phone at me. But Rachel's SUV pulled up before she could respond, saving me from whatever rage she'd built up. "You're really doing this?" Rachel asked me. She'd always taken Allison's side on everything. "Yep. You know she's devastated, right? She was devastated last night when she told me another man understands her better. Where was your concern then?" Rachel didn't have an answer for that. They finished loading the bags and left. I went back inside my quiet, Allison-free house and made myself breakfast. Eggs, toast, coffee. Sat at the kitchen table where 12 hours ago I'd ended my marriage, and just felt nothing. Not sad, not angry, just relieved. My phone started blowing up around noon. First, Allison's mom, asking what happened and saying I was being unreasonable. I sent her a simple text back. "Ask your daughter about her relationship with Keith. Then ask if you'd want your son-in-law to stick around for that." Then Allison's sister called. "You need to let her come home and work this out. She can work it out with Keith. Heard he's great at emotional processing. She made a mistake." Yeah, she did. For several months. With her boss. While lying to my face about it. Click. Didn't need to hear the rest. My own parents called that evening. "Is it true about the divorce?" "Yeah." "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Mom. Better than fine, actually." "Do you want to come over for dinner?" "Nah, I'm good. Got meal prep done for the week?" My mom laughed at that. "Of course you do. Well, call if you need anything." Ryan had the divorce papers ready by Monday. I'd filled him in on everything, and he was actually impressed by how clean the separation was. No kids, no shared assets besides the savings account, clear documentation of her affair. "This should be pretty straightforward," he said. "She'll probably try to claim she needs spousal support, but given that she worked full-time and you were only married 4 years, that's unlikely." "How long until it's final?" "Michigan has a mandatory 6-month waiting period, but you can be legally separated immediately." "Good enough." I had Allison served with the papers at her work the next day. Little petty, maybe, but I wanted Keith to see the consequences of his deep emotional connection. According to my buddy who works in the same hospital system, Keith suddenly became very unavailable after that, stopped doing his lunch meditation sessions, and started eating in his office. Allison called me that night, absolutely furious. "You had me served at work? In front of everyone?" "Yeah, seemed efficient. Keith thinks I should fight this. He knows a good lawyer who specializes in getting wives what they deserve." "Cool. Tell Keith good luck with that. Also tell him his wife called me yesterday." Silence. "What did you tell her?" "Nothing. She already knew. Apparently Keith has a pattern of these deep emotional connections with female employees. She just wanted to confirm you were number 4. More silence. "He said his marriage was over," Allison said quietly. "Yeah, he says that to all of them." His wife showed me the text from the previous 3. "You're not special, Allison. You're just available." She hung up. The next few weeks were pretty quiet. I fell back into my routine, minus the dead weight of a failing marriage. Work, gym, home projects. Frank noticed I seemed lighter and asked if everything was okay. "Got divorced," I said while reviewing a supply chain variance report. "Sorry to hear that." "Don't be. Best decision I've made in years." He nodded. "My ex-wife left me for her tennis instructor back in '92. Hurt like hell at the time, but looking back, saved me decades of misery." Exactly. I started sleeping better. The house felt bigger without all of Allison's clutter everywhere. I could watch whatever I wanted on TV, eat whatever I felt like for dinner, spend my Saturday mornings organizing my tools without someone complaining that I should be spending quality time together. About 2 months after I kicked her out, I ran into Keith at the grocery store. He was in the produce section squeezing avocados, and I swear he tried to hide behind a display of bananas when he saw me. "Hey, Keith," I said cheerfully. "How's the deep emotional connection business?" His face went red. "Look, man, I didn't mean for any of this to happen." "Sure you didn't. How's your wife?" "We're working through things." "I bet. Allison still crashing at your meditation sessions?" "She actually left the hospital. Found a position somewhere else." "Good for her. Moving on and all that." He mumbled something about needing to go and practically ran away from me. I finished my shopping with a smile. I heard through the grapevine that Allison ended up moving back in with her parents after Rachel got tired of the couch surfing situation. Apparently, Keith's wife put her foot down about the friendship, and Keith chose his marriage over his soulmate. Shocking, I know. The details came through Rachel's boyfriend, who worked at the same hospital. Keith's wife showed up at the hospital one day, walked right into his office, and had a very loud conversation about boundaries and consequences. Whole floor heard it. Something about how this was the 4th time Keith had found a special connection with a female employee, and if he wanted to keep his marriage and his job, He'd be cutting contact with Allison immediately. Keith caved within 24 hours, blocked Allison's number, stopped responding to emails, suddenly became very unavailable for those lunch meditation sessions, started leaving work at exactly 5 p.m. to go straight home, no more happy hours or team building events. Allison apparently didn't take it well. Showed up at his office crying, asking how he could just abandon their connection. Keith told her it was inappropriate and asked her to leave. Security had to escort her out when she refused. Whole hospital gossip mill went nuts. She tried to save face by claiming Keith had manipulated her, that she didn't realize how inappropriate their relationship had become. But by then, everyone knew the story. Multiple people had seen the texts, witnessed the late-night phone calls, heard her gushing about their deep emotional bond. Nobody bought the victim routine. Allison tried to drag out the divorce, asking for spousal support and claiming she couldn't afford her own place on her HR salary. Ryan shut that down pretty quickly by pointing out she made $65,000 a year and had voluntarily left our home, not been forced out. The judge agreed. We had to submit financial disclosure forms, and seeing her statement was almost sad. She'd racked up $8,000 in credit card debt I didn't know about, mostly from those boutique clothes and the wellness retreat. Had $400 in her checking account, no savings of her own besides her half of our joint account. She'd been living completely off my income for years and hadn't built anything for herself. The judge looked at the numbers, looked at her request for me to pay her $2,000 a month in spousal support, and basically laughed it out of court. You were married 4 years. You both work full-time. You voluntarily left the marital home. Spousal support denied. Her lawyer tried to argue that she'd sacrificed career advancement to support my career. Ryan brought receipts showing she'd actually gotten promoted twice during our marriage, while I'd gotten one promotion. Argument dismissed. The divorce was finalized in October, 6 months after I changed those locks. I got the house, my car, my retirement accounts. She got her car, half the savings, which was about $8,000, and a valuable lesson about the difference between emotional affairs and actual relationships. I saw her one last time at the final hearing. She'd lost weight, looked tired, tried to catch my eye, but I was focused on the judge signing the papers. When it was done, she lingered like she wanted to say something. Jake, have a good life, Allison. Walked out and never looked back. 6 months later, I'm doing better than ever. Got a promotion at work, making 15% more. Refinanced the house at a lower rate now that only my name is on everything. Started dating again. Nothing serious. Just enjoying my time. Redecorated the whole house exactly how I wanted it. Painted the living room that gray Allison hated. Got rid of all those decorative pillows. Turned her craft room into a home gym. Bought a 75-inch TV because why not? My house, my rules. 3 months after the divorce, Allison's mom cornered me at the grocery store. She was blocking my cart in the cereal aisle, arms crossed like she was about to deliver some big speech. You destroyed my daughter's life, she said. No, your daughter destroyed her own life when she had an affair with her married boss. They were just friends. Friends don't text 200 times a day. Friends don't have hour-long phone calls at midnight. But hey, she's your problem now. Her face went purple. She's living in her childhood bedroom because of you. She's living in her childhood bedroom because Keith's wife wasn't as stupid as she thought. Have a good day, Mrs. Patterson. I grabbed my cereal and walked away. She yelled something about karma, but I had my headphones in. Keith got absolutely wrecked at work. His wife didn't just put her foot down, she went nuclear. Sent screenshots of his texts with all 4 women to hospital administration, along with a detailed timeline of his behavior. Turns out using your position as director to cultivate emotional affairs with subordinates is a massive HR violation. Who knew? They demoted him to a regular HR coordinator position, cut his salary by 40%, and put him on a performance improvement plan. His wife made him quit all his extracurricular activities. No more meditation groups, no more team-building happy hours, no more lunch sessions. Guy basically goes to work, does his job, and goes straight home to face his wife. Rachel's boyfriend said Keith looks miserable. Lost weight, stopped doing that whole enlightened guru thing, just shuffles around the office avoiding eye contact. His wife picks him up from work every day now, parks in the visitor lot, and waits for him. Allison bounced around between 3 different jobs in 8 months. First place let her go during probation. Second place, she quit after 2 months, because the culture wasn't aligned with her values. Currently working at some tiny consulting firm, making about half what she made at the hospital. Rachel finally apologized to me at a mutual friend's birthday party last month. I should have told you what was going on, she said. I knew about Keith. Allison would call me after their conversations, and I just thought she was being stupid. Not that it was this serious. Would have saved me some time. For what it's worth, she's a mess. Cries about you constantly. Says she made the biggest mistake of her life. Cool, not my problem. She asked me to ask if you'd be willing to talk. Absolutely not. That's what I figured. Just had to ask. I started seeing this woman Jennifer about 4 months after the divorce. She's a CPA at a competing firm. Met her at a networking event. We bonded over tax code changes and she actually laughed at my jokes about depreciation schedules. Our first date was at a steakhouse. She showed up on time, ordered her own meal, offered to split the check. When I paid anyway, she said thank you instead of acting like it was expected. Novel concept. She's got her own condo, paid off car, maxes out her 401k every year. When she came over to my place for the first time, she complimented my organization system instead of calling it obsessive. We meal prep together on Sundays now. Jennifer's met my parents twice. My mom loves her, says she's got a good head on her shoulders. My dad appreciates that she can talk football and actually knows what's happening instead of just nodding along. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.